Hello, everyone. My name is Genesis Varela, and first of all, I want to take the time to thank you for reviewing my presentation today. Today, I'm going to be sharing an article review called Supporting the Needs of Beginning Special Education Teachers and Their Students. And we're going to begin by talking about the overview of the article and the theory that this author shares with us. And what caught my attention in the first place when I first opened this article was how I began sharing how many first-year teachers exit their profession, and this is within the first year of teaching. Schools are faced with the critical shortage of special education teachers, and if you have been in the world of special education, you're familiar with this statement, but this article provides a percentage. It says that 29% of first-year teachers exit and leave their careers. They either transition into something different or just completely leave their career because they do not feel qualified after they go into the classroom working with these students with disabilities. And as special education teachers enter the world of education, they are faced with a variety of challenges and responsibilities. Some of them include meeting a range of student needs across different contexts, and that was one of the main points that this author provided in this article. And one thing that really caught my attention was that many special education teachers have a reasonable amount of knowledge about special education methods and instruction practices, but they may struggle to translate that knowledge into practice in the specific areas for students with disabilities. So even us that are currently taking courses to be ready to be teachers or to be in the world of special education, we are giving a lot of information, but many times it's harder to translate that information into the classroom when working with these students with disabilities. Another huge point that this author made was how early intervention is highly important when working with students with disabilities. So many times these teachers do not feel qualified because these students have not gone through early intervention, and they are thrown into a classroom where they are expected to meet everyone's needs, but they have not done this since the minute they were put into the classroom. And another thing that I liked, a quote that said, "Students with disabilities are more likely than other students to struggle to comprehend complex texts, so beginning special education teachers will benefit from evidence-based instructional practices." This author makes an emphasis on evidence-based instructional practices, which is something huge to take into consideration when going into the classroom. Alright, so those are the three main points that this author talks about. How, one, special education teachers are exiting their careers because they do not feel qualified. Two, an emphasis on early intervention when working with students with disabilities, and how this could change the way a special education teacher will look at their job and will find strategies. And lastly, how it is so important that we focus on evidence-based instructional practices, and also how we have to meet a range of students' needs across different contexts. It includes math, reading, and English, many of the subjects that the author points out. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the author's perspective, and we're going to begin with point number one. So you can tell that the main purpose of this article is to bring awareness to new special education teachers and how to equip these teachers. I'm not going to lie to you, one of the main reasons why I chose this article, like I previously said, was because it began sharing a percentage and amount of teachers that leave this profession because they are not ready to teach. The point number one that I want to share with you is that the author identifies two crucial components of classroom management, which are two great strategies to help new teachers when working with students with disabilities. And that is, one, establishing and teaching routines and expectations from the beginning, from the minute they walk into the classroom, and providing students with specific feedback. these are two huge problems that, based on what the author was sharing with us, these are two critical points that new teachers are dealing with. Point number 2 is how, like I previously said, the author wants to focus on evidence-based instructional benefits and how this will help students' learning process in the classroom. And the third point is how special education teachers are tasked with meeting a range of students' needs across numerous contexts. Implementing effective and behavioral instruction practices is highly important. So we know that point number 1 and 3 tie in together because those are really important components to take into consideration when going into the classroom. So that was mainly the author's perspective and opinion, and how when going into a new special education room, not only do the new beginning teachers need to know their information that they learned in college, they need to be able to translate that information into the classroom, because you're not only working with one student specifically, but you're going to be working with a range of different students, and these students come from different backgrounds and have different disabilities. My opinion and reaction, of course, the first one was how early intervention for students with disabilities can affect the way a student learns. Yes, I've learned about early intervention in a lot of my classes, but I didn't know that this really had a huge impact on how the academic year went, if you're able to just provide that information from the minute you walk into the classroom and meet these students. And the second one is how special education teachers leave their profession because of the challenges they face in the classroom. Not gonna lie, this was one of the most important reactions I had about this article, because it just provides a lot of information on how so many teachers are leaving. They're exiting this career, this field, because they do not feel qualified to work with these students. And yes, we got a lot of information in college, but we need to make sure we remember how to use that and implement that knowledge in the new classroom, how to meet everyone's needs, and how to work with students with intellectual disabilities. And the third point is meeting student needs during early intervention. Again, tying those two together and having a good understanding of each student's academic levels, such as the learning style, prior knowledge, interests, and level of engagement. Those are huge factors that I learned from this article, and how will benefit my teaching methods and strategies in the classroom if I'm able to learn these components about each student and how it'll change the way I work with students with disabilities. The implications to practice, something that, like I said, I was, as a future educator, I really was impacted by this article, because, I'm about to go into that first year of teaching, and just reading about this, it just really challenged me to prepare for my first year of teaching. And of course, one point that I really think is essential from this article was how we need to meet students' needs across numerous contexts. So not only knowing their academic levels, their interests, and all the things we talked about in the previous slide, but also how to meet their academic needs. That includes reading, English, even social skills, and math. Those are strategies that need to be implemented, and how there's a range of different needs, because when you go into a classroom, you're not working with the same population, you're not working with the same students, you will have a variety of students. And the second one is the goal is to maximize each student's growth and individual success by meeting everyone's needs. So that includes implementing accommodations and the instruction you use in the classroom. Today's classrooms are filled with diverse learners who differ not only culturally, but also academically and even their learning preferences. We need to make sure we're aware of those things. And that's when differentiated instruction comes in. And yes, the author did talk about this. And those are great things to remember on how to implement this information into my future classroom. And last one, again, with what I was just talking about, integrating different types of assessments and activities that appeal to all learning types and levels. So we go back to the first slide, how we know these teachers are leaving their profession because they have all this information and they do not know how to translate all that information into their new classroom. And this is when the whole learning every student's learning style and levels, and it starts from early intervention, different types of assessment, and differentiating instruction will be the title for point number 3. How do we need to meet everyone's needs in order for our instructional methods to just flow smoothly in the classroom and to have a better first year of teaching. I know it's hard, but definitely knowing your students and knowing your strategies will be highly important. And another thing, just to wrap up with my presentation, is that the author did emphasize on how he made a point on how special education is not the easiest career. He talked about the reasons why teachers leave, but he also made sure to also explain some of the reasons and some of the solutions on how to stop those teachers from leaving their careers, from exiting these classrooms, because they have all this information but they don't know how to apply it into their classroom. And yeah, it is not easy working with special needs students, but there are a lot of activities, assessment strategies, instructional methods, and other strategies to be implemented into the classroom to help everyone's classrooms. And all I gotta say is that I'm really excited to have my own classroom, hopefully within the next year or 2 years, and just how to use all this information in my own classroom. And now I'm aware that yes, the first year will be tough, but differentiating instruction for all my students and getting to know all their needs and accommodating every need in my classroom will be they will all be my priorities in my classroom. And the last slide is just a reference, and here's the article if anyone's interested in reading it. It not only focuses on supporting the needs of beginning teachers in special education, but it provides a variety of strategies on how to work with students with learning disabilities and how to help them in the classroom. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I look forward to reading everyone's feedback. Thank you so much.